Welcome. My name is Franzen. I'm within KPN Architect, and this is Dimitri, a colleague of mine, and we are both in the team of the App Factory. And I tell you something about what we are creating within KPN. The App Factory is a continuous delivery platform as a service that we deliver to customers, and it's not only a continuous delivery platform, but it's also included with the runtime. And I will tell you something about it. It's the App Factory, and in Holland, this is a factory in Holland, the Vanilla factory in Rotterdam, and this is an icon in Holland, and we use this picture because we had a talk over there, and it's a good way to tell what we are doing with the App Factory. If you go back in the factory, it's a T-Ford line, and as Henry Ford said, you can have any color as long as it's black. It's the first step of creating an automated way, standardized in a factory way, and but it's all standard. And if you look in IT, there's a traditional. Everything is the same, and in the traditional IT, there's a lot of things that are the same. Every car is the same, but in this car, it's also a T-Ford, and that's the link with to developers. Developers want specialized things like 2 engines, bigger wheels, and if you talk to devs want cool stuff. They want to have cool stuff, but about this car, is it scalable, and is it maintainable, and is it what the business really wants? And I think there's a balance between the standardized thing and the really specialized thing, and that's the talk about tonight. We want to deliver a factory, and this is a factory of I think the robots over here can create phones, but you can program the robots to create anything. They can create the iPhone, but next week they can create like navigation stuff, or maybe a pacemaker. Depends on how you program that robot, and that's the thing we want to do with our IT infrastructure as well. The infrastructure as code. So code the infrastructure and everything, so it's reusable and can make really specialized products. Yeah, that's the thing that we want to do. And the CEO of Salesforce, he said, speed is the new currency. So the differentiator for companies is how fast can I deliver my new software package to my production environment, and that's the main differentiator between companies. Yeah, the main differentiator between companies is it's about how fast can I bring stuff to my production environment, and it's all about the innovation speed, and that's what we want to do, deliver with the App Factory, and the innovation from a business idea towards a software product in a production environment. The developer or the development team is a team that translates the idea of the production of the business towards a software package in the production environment, and that's exactly what we want to do with the App Factory. The continuous delivery, we want to enable development teams with a continuous delivery pipeline. I think you will know this picture, all the steps that are necessary in a continuous delivery pipeline for from creation of code towards the production environment and running it in the production environment, and see how the application behaves in the production environment. And within the continuous delivery process, you don't want any fall gates in steps. So it must be completely automated, so your software can be built, test, deployed towards the production environment. If we look at the App Factory, these are the functionality that we deliver with the App Factory. And it starts with the development side. So we deliver a version control for the code base. An auto build to build the software package, CI and security testing of the software, and when the tests are successful, store it in a repository, a trusted repository. From the trusted repository, we can deploy that software artifact towards an environment, to a test environment or production environment. That's the deployment part. As you can see, the develop CI part, it's optional. We have for the App Factory, we say, okay, this is an optional part. Why? Because a lot of development teams already have this in place, have their Jenkins service running, have their own code repository already implemented. A lot of customers don't have the deployment part implemented. So also from the App Factory, we can start as at that point at the deployment part, and the repository is the
demarcation point.
Demarcation point. Yeah, sure. Within the App Factory, you can define the pipeline, so all the steps in the pipeline, so the release steps, and deliver a role-based access control in the steps over the components in pilot. So you can imagine developers can deploy towards test environment, acceptance environments, but maybe in a situation that the production environment, a release manager wants to align with the business and say, okay, right now this feature can be released to production. We can deliver advanced deployment types like blue-green deployments or canary deployments. From the deployment, it's necessary to deploy to a runtime environment, and from the App Factory we deliver three types of runtime environments. One is the container runtime environment, like a Docker Kubernetes a runtime environment. The second one is a PaaS runtime that is based on Mendix with Cloud Foundry. And the third one is the traditional runtime. And the traditional runtime has like a virtual machine with a normal OS with middleware and the application on top of it. That can be a .NET application or a Java application, or you can imagine. That are the three runtimes. The runtime is high available, so we can create the runtime from scratch, because our infrastructure that we create it's in our code base, so the infrastructure as code, so we can create the runtime automatically. Things like service discovery, auto healing, auto scaling are capabilities of the platform. The last part, the feedback. I think it's a really important one for development teams. That's the feedback loop back to the developer to have insights in any kinds of logs within the environment, applications that are running in production or an acceptance environment, or the monitoring and capacity management inside. Also the audit trails of who deployed at what time, which version of which kind of feature, or in the versioning, who did which part of code change. This picture is a little bit the same. It's a visualization of what the App Factory delivers. The use cases we are targeting are the traditional environment, with the traditional stack, like a virtual machine with the middleware. That's a traditional environment. The rapid development, a Mendix way of development with a Cloud Foundry platform. And the third one, the microservices development with a container runtime, and in our case it's based on the Kubernetes runtime environment. Within the App Factory we have over here the functionality that I described on the slide before. And the App Factory, we can deploy the App Factory on different clouds. So we can deploy it on the KPN cloud, but we also can do it on the Azure, or on the roadmap is Amazon. So we can, it's a cloud agnostic product, the App Factory. Here are some insights of the tools that we use within the App Factory, and Dimitri will take it from here.
I'll take it from here. Right, thanks, Harry. Let's switch the screen quickly. You know, if you want to demo something, it's everybody has its own development environment. It's always nice to have your own thing. So. Yeah, so before I start talking about this, a little bit about me. I just started about 2 months ago in the App Factory. Before that, I've been in the tooling automation team here at KPN doing a lot of Puppet stuff. And before that, I've always been into this, the different cloud proposals which KPN had from the utility hosting and VMware, all stuff on VMware. Been mostly an ops guy, and it's but I do have some development background, and nowadays I'm more of a developer actually than doing the ops stuff. So I'm talking a bit about what Harry said, the App Factory. So how did we actually create that? Of what is it composed? Well, these tools are actually those the ones that we use. I think most people will recognize a lot of it. It's basically the usual suspects. You can put 5 in every context extra, of course, but you know, we have the source code control, the build, the artifact repositories where you put your builds, the build tools, some testing, Cucumber, and do we as KPN know all this by ourselves and just make up the whole App Factory? No, we do this with a partner who is has continuous delivery as their main selling point, I think, which is Xebia Labs. So we also use extra release, extra deploy for the deployment of applications. And the runtime we are using is a Docker environment running on a Kubernetes cluster. And for monitoring, we have the Sysdig and Kibana for the insight. Again, we're using GitHub ourselves at this moment, but you can use anyone. You can bring your own if you want. And then in the back end, the stuff that customers don't really see a lot from, only indirectly. But yeah, for some secret management with vaults and identity management, free IPA. Terraform's very important one to deploy our infrastructure as code. Well, CoreOS is pretty well known, and I guess it Elk-Stack as well. And I already mentioned. Currently, we're using Azure and KPN's own VMware cloud, to which we can deploy. Amazon and other stuff will follow at the moment. When customer demands this one. So, more as a team, how do we work and build this stuff? Yeah, well, speed. As already mentioned, well, DevOps, continuous delivery, I think is at this moment the way to fill in that speed to bring software and business features as fast as possible. Well, so we made up our manifesto for our team. So I can pick a few. Everything is code, everything is automated. Well, everything is code is really important, and it's a bit, but infrastructure you move no code, human changes when it needs to be repeatable. Later we have to talk about security, I believe. So we have a thick book, the KPN security policy, which we need to comply to. But we're pretty much on the edge of things, so the security policy really doesn't say, well, isn't really complete about all kinds of containerization stuff in cloud. So we're working together with those guys to complete that more. Well, comply or explain, preferably with some cake or beer. Equality without compromise, right? If you do your testing, it's not just quick fixes, do not repeat yourself, those things, and we love creating all kinds of nice stuff, but customer value first. Containerize where possible, yes. We're not on the Mendix bandwagon here for the App Factory, but really hit the Docker containers and the microservices. I don't know if there's any questions on this or so. I'm happy to interact.
You said you're very into microservices. Are you looking into serverless technologies?
Not right now. not right now. I know serverless is one of the next steps, and yeah, you can. We are thinking about only deliver the code, and we can put it in a Docker container and run it for you. But that's not really like a serverless like Lambda. But it's kind of, you know.
We're thinking about it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and then a little bit more about well, everything is code, infrastructure as code is really the main concept for speed. Yeah, you want to see who changed what. You want to be able to revert back. You want to participate within a team to review infrastructure changes. Yeah, well, you reuse it and it's maintainable, because any system administrator or developer makes a manual change to make something work. It's just unmaintainable. It needs to be repeatable. Yeah. Customer-facing platform. So the App Factory itself, a little bit of a diagram. It's kind of hard to see. See if I actually zoom in a little bit on this. Sort of, right? It doesn't really make the quality improve, but you see again the tools that we use, all containerized within our platform, running on, well, basically we start up with 3 CoreOS nodes, running Kubernetes cluster that can scale to any amount. That's the main App Factory, and well, you see 2 of them. So this is our main App Factory, and from that App Factory we can create new App Factories for customers. So then and we use that using extra release deployment. We deploy any amount of new customer environments which they can fill in with their own pipelines, delivery pipelines, and their own repositories, whatever they want to use. But there's a chicken and egg problem. So how does this start? Well, that starts with a manual process, which is a Terraform apply script really, and after that is finished, then it's.
So the most important, this part, it's the KPN part. So it's our own continuous delivery pipeline, and from that continuous delivery pipeline, we can create automatically everything for a customer, customer.
Eat your own dog food.
Yeah, so we eat our own dog food.
We drink our own champagne.
That's better.
Cheers.
Once you have created a new environment or a new app factory, does it have any dependencies with the original one, or is it completely standalone?
The dependency. It's a standalone one, but the dependencies are from the level one. We can manage the customer environment. So if we want to schedule an upgrade of the infrastructure, or for example a new version of Kubernetes, or a new version of the servers, we schedule a release from our app factory towards that app factory. But there's no dependency when our is not reachable. It's not that the customer environment is down. So there's not a hard link.
I think Eric can correct me if I'm wrong. I think in the upgrade of the services there is some dependency towards the main the registry that we're using to the artifact repository, because the newer versions are in here and they are not. During upgrades, I think directly built there.
It depends on the service, but there are actually cached there on the initial deployment. So even if the main App Factory would be down, you wouldn't have any issues.
Yeah.
I noticed that you were one of your slides. You were mentioning using Puppet. What I was wondering is, so basically, can you, if a customer said, well, yes, I like the way it works, but I want another provisioning tool, for instance, Chef or Ansible.
Mm-hmm.
Is that possible?
We use Puppet more in the traditional environment. As I said, we can also create a VM with middleware on top of it, and there we use Puppet. And you can see it right here. It's below the line, so it's how we use it. So it's not something we deliver to
It's
customers.
an implementation.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have a demo slide. So.
Actual mark.
I guess so.
A real customer story.
I see some praise.
So they usually work.
Yeah. Right. So I would like to show how we create a main app factory, because maybe there's time left. Hurricane show kind of stuff being initiated from Excel release. So about the infrastructure as code. So the initial boost, how do we create one? Well, yes, I need to do that here. Thank you. This is our GitHub repository. So in Terraform we have our Azure and our VMware private cloud modules. And well, just to see Azure one. How do we describe our infrastructure as code? Well, we create a just quickly, is this? Sort of a storage account. Well, we need virtual networks, of course, and subnets. And, well, we have NFS. Well, we're going to use AFS storage. But we still have NFS as well there. Well, the virtual machine, that's going to be created. You see a lot of variables. Well, that's of course we're reusing the same infrastructure code all over and over for different customers. So that's how we use the variables. Well, and just see how that. Off. Yeah, I'll have to zoom it. So we have here our Azure portal. It's going to create a new app factory for all resource groups. Well, it's as simple as Terraform apply to create a new infrastructure. It's asking for a customer prefix for the meetup. Yeah, we use Kubernetes, and it requires a cluster token to know of which cluster members are part. So we need to have that. Add a new one. And traditional service, I don't need any. So well, this will be created. It'll take about 5 minutes. Well, 1.5 hours ago or so when I tried it was like 6 minutes, but it usually gets up on Azure. Can get pretty slow when American wakes starts using it a lot. That's what we think, but it's the reason anyway.
This creates an app factory for ourselves. So from that app factory, when this app factory is created, we can create new customer app factory. So this is the first step. The only thing we have is the Git repository, and from the Git repository we can create our first own app factory environment. So everything is in code. So everything is code, and with this step, the Kubernetes cluster will be created on Azure, and the next step is running a bootstrap script that puts all the functionality of the continuous delivery pipeline on that Kubernetes cluster.
You want to demo something out? Well,
no, this will take.
This will be running, and you see here the resource group has been created in Azure, and it's creating all these things, the public IP address, virtual networks, and it's all been created automatically. And well, the virtual machines, it will be speeding up these virtual machines at this moment.
Sure. I have a question. I'm trying to figure out what the business case is here, because you provide the infrastructure to a customer.
Yep.
then I assume that this customer doesn't have the knowledge to do this themselves. But as soon as the thing is running, somebody has to maintain it and keep an eye on it, do the normal ops stuff, which requires knowledge to do so. So are you providing that as well, or?
Depends on which part. From the deployment part, yes, we do. From the more CI part, we can deliver. There are several tools for development teams. Like we can deliver a Jenkins, but a development team is responsible for managing a Jenkins for themselves. But we can facilitate in delivering it to the team. And what we will do, we do the life cycle management of the platform and all the services, and we will add extra functionality for enabling development teams.
So it's more than a sort of scaffolding tool that sets up the infrastructure once and.
The infrastructure is created for a customer. It's created once, and for instance, if there's an upgrade, we create the infrastructure. We create new servers. We don't patch a server. It's really the patch versus kettle. It's a kettle environment. So if a server need an upgrade, we create a new server and move all workload from one server where it's running and move it towards the new server.
But do you do this with this App Factory as well?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, so so you sort of patch or update the environment using the App Factory.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, correct. Yeah. So we have our own App Factory with our own pipelines, and one of the for example, upgrading an environment, a customer environment. That's we have created an own pipeline for updating a customer environment.
Yeah. And who are these customers? Can you give me an idea of who uses this?
The typical customer, it's for enterprises, and but also some smaller companies. But we are targeting on the development teams that are really not really mature in the continuous delivery process, or already have a lot of experience but don't want to maintain their own environment, because in a development team you have to develop and not maintain all kind of this kind of stuff. So that's the two use cases, teams you are targeting, and for big customers and maybe also smaller customers. Okay.
Yeah, what the Bootstrap script does with the infrastructure is created and Jenkins is created, well, all the containers that deliver the services, and like a registry or Excel release and stuff, well, it's all Docker-based containers, and they are all built from scratch from the Docker file itself, and that's actually happening in Jenkins. Well, when it's available in the registry, Kubernetes can actually run those. So that's a bit what you saw here for all those containers that we built. One small thing I want to mention on the manifesto, also mentioned reuse where possible. We don't want to reinvent the wheel ourselves. We try to create as little code as possible, but we ran into quite some things with Azure, but also with VMware. If you realize there's no Terraform provider for that, and for Azure, you cannot create file storage automatically from Terraform. So we created that. That's been resubmitted back to the Microsoft Go SDK for Azure and stuff. So It's actually quite nice. It's time to contribute back.
Do you have one container, or do you get several containers? So do you have for every component an own container?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a microservice. So there are a lot of containers running for delivering the functionality. Sure. And also as a customer, you can create your own applications within Docker containers and run it in a separate namespace within on the cluster.
Why Kubernetes? Why not Docker Swarm?
Because it's good. Like Google.
I think Kubernetes gives a lot of functionality application centric, and you can choose measles or there are several tools, and we choose with Kubernetes, and I think that's currently the most mature one. But
perhaps it's good to think about the timelines as well, because these decisions were made 6 months ago when Swarm just wasn't on par with Kubernetes at that point. So we chose the most promising platform, which at that point was Kubernetes, and I think we still, I know we still stand by our point that Kubernetes is the most mature and the most stable platform at this point.
I agree. I've been.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is. I'm quite I really like Swarm, and especially now it's available in 1.12. It's just native in there, but you start, if you need to describe the pods or the containers that you need to schedule the workloads, then it's really still too limited in that point, like a Docker Compose, and they now have this DAP format, I believe, but it's still quite immature, incomplete, and that's what they say themselves as well. Compared to Kubernetes, we still, to deliver this platform, we still need Kubernetes. Oh.
Any more questions?
It's already released, it's just
I noticed you were showing Jenkins server, and I noticed you were still using a 1.x. And that's particularly interesting because I have done a bit of work with the 2.0 with the pipeline building, which basically seems to duplicate a lot of the work that you have been doing with the App Factory. So how is that going to be? Will that compete? How does that compare to each other?
Erik, kan ik die aan jou doorpraten?
Well, I can answer that, no problem. We actually took a look at the Jenkins 2.0 pipeline plugin as well, but what you see is that, especially on the part of access control, that they're rather limited and it's quite complex to configure the authentication properly. So that's why we chose the alternative tools, because especially for the enterprises, the larger companies we're targeting, they just want really fine-grained access controls, and that's when the added value of a real release orchestration tool kicks in. So that's
which is could do with. But yes, I can see it, the use case is different there. I think for doing orchestrating this for smaller business,
Do you only support Azure now as the only public cloud provider?
Currently, we have support for two. It's the KPN cloud and the Azure. And I think in 1 or 2 sprints we can build the stuff we have to make it ready on an Azure or a Google. Amazon, sorry. Yeah.
So in a month. The sprint is 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Only if the customer demands it, because we had it running on Amazon, but we don't have any demand for Amazon. So why maintain 3 stacks when you can maintain 2 and switch over when you get the demand?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're really customer driven. So when the customer comes, okay, I want to run it on Amazon, we will build it to Amazon.
Product owner will prioritize it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is XL release, what we also use for ourselves. This is an example of creating this is our pipeline for creating from our main App Factory a customer environment, and yeah, I can show these are the steps that are done in the pipeline to create a new customer environment. And in this step, the rollout step is almost exactly the same as what Dimitri showed, to build the infrastructure for a customer environment, and on top of that we will create the functionality, the continuous delivery pods, so application containers for delivering the customer App Factory functionality. Yeah, I can start it right now. I don't know if it's interesting or. Yeah, sure. Basically. Yep. Shall I? Customer name, okay. The customer environment, it's the second environment.
For those working with Azure, it was pretty interesting this afternoon because it didn't work at all. We had a global DNS outage. So,
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, it was a big outage.
Mostly hanging out in Amazon, sorry.
yeah, okay, here.
The user.
But they had their problems too. So.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, no really no fun.
So this is the release. So I created a customer KPN 2, and to really build this the infrastructure and the continuous delivery pipeline, I started the release, and it will build the complete environment with all the functionality with an Excel.
Ah, the demo.
Quick look.
Well, shows that it's not scripted.
Oh. Hij niet loopt terug, maar just worked.
Working
Working back home.
Any
I haven't really read up on App Factory before I came here, so but what you do is you spin up a Jenkins server,
Yep.
Nexus, App Factory.
Yep.
So this can be selected somewhere what components you want to use.
In the basic form,
Yeah.
we will spin up the basic functionality, and from the repository you can choose. Okay, I want to have extra functionality.
Okay, and then I set up my pipelines in Jenkins after this?
No, it's the pipelines are managed. We deliver XL release to create your pipelines.
Oh, okay, this is where I create my pipeline.
Yeah. So from XL release you can create all the steps in your pipeline.
Yeah, all right. And
So from XL release there's an integration with Jenkins, with all kind of tools. So within XL release, that's the main release pipeline steps.
okay. Right. Could you set up one really quick?
Sorry?
Set up like a Docker file, hello world.
The blue green demo.
Oh, the blue green can. this is a demo environment where I've got an example of a deployment of an application, and I also have some. Oops. This is the demo setup. It's a really simple application. It's a web application, and a web application which is running in a Docker container. And there's the Nginx in a Docker container. And right now, this application is reachable on that URL. So end users go to the Kubernetes servers, and the Kubernetes servers will load balance you over the pods running that application. We have a developer. The developer will create new code, commits it in GitHub. From XL release, there's XL release is looking constantly at GitHub, and if there's any changes or any commits, XL release will grab the code, says to Jenkins, okay, build a container with the new content, and it will be placed in the repository, and XL release will deploy it on the Kubernetes cluster, besides next to the current environment. So the end user still goes to the old application, the old version of the application, and the new application is waiting for maybe a release manager or something like that. And the release manager gets an URL for, okay, this is the new site, so he can check, and if everything works fine, he can, okay, right now send it to production. And if he gives us okay, the end users will switch. Yeah. Okay, we. So these are all the steps that we defined in our pipeline. So over here, it's triggered when there's a Git commit. It will build within Jenkins, and after that, it will be deployed towards the environment. And over here, it waits for approval of the release manager. When everything is okay, then the service is switched, so the end users will go to the new servers, and over here we only create to delete the environment, but you can imagine maybe create a rollback or something like that. So this is the current page. So the Hello World application. We have also the GitHub. So over here, this is the GitHub where the code sits, and over here you can see the Docker file and the index which it has the content of the application. If I change something over here, for instance, okay, I want to have and I do it right on the master branch. It's not allowed normally. Next release 1.3. and maybe change some colors. Change some colors. That's it. Nou, ik weet niet wat voor kleur eruit komt, maar.
Niet zo'n constants.
En ik commit, I commit de code. En even de tekst. Demo codes.
Pop up in the filter options to see if it's not filtered out.
You can see the release. Okay, it's fine. And so XL release has a trigger from GitHub, and you cannot see it right now. But the phase 1, all the build steps within Jenkins are completed, and now it's waiting for to confirm deployment. So the application is deployed towards the environment, and over here. As a release manager, I can say, okay, everything works as intended. How do you see?
Oh yeah, click the link first.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
that's the link. There's the link. Open link in the top.
You actually want to see it. Yes.
Very good.
So you can see it's running on a different port. So this is only accessible for the end users. Still go to 8,000. So this is still available for the end users.
What color is this?
Sorry?
Azure.
Yeah, it's Azure.
When everything is okay, he says everything okay.
Besides the user experience.
Yeah.
No. And you can see right now the application is switched, and I think that I have to do it in a new browser because there's some browser cache.
Control F5.
Might work.
Might work.
Try it in private window.
Private window, yeah.
There was one phase still not finished now.
Oh, sure. You can see it's running right now. So it's switched, and now it's available for the end users, and you can from here you can say, okay, everything is fine, and delete.
You could also have gone back to the
Sorry?
Yeah, roll back.
Typically the blue-green demo or the deployment is about switching to the other color and then have the ability to go back, right?
The blue-green deployment is okay. All the end users will at one point switch to the new application, and right now we didn't define a rollback step, but it's easy to create a step over here to roll back the application. Now we created a step to delete the application, but yeah, for instance, you can create a rollback.
Do you have also downtime when you go from the test to?
No, yeah, the downtime in this case, yeah, there was some browser cache, so there's no downtime because the application already is deployed to the environment and is waiting for the end user.
To DNS switch at the end, or?
No, it's within Kubernetes. The servers load balance and really switch to the new application pods.
Okay. So how do you deal with persistent data during a switch? Because that's my big thing that I can.
Yeah, I think that's important case.
But then there's still the problem needs to be solved, right?
Yeah. The persistent data persistence is within the Kubernetes infrastructure. We have data volumes where the data persistence exists. Right. So depends on the application, sure, but an application can imagine that an application persistent data. If the data model doesn't change, right, the new application can.
That's easy.
That's easy bit. But what if my schema does change? And what if I not only add a column to my database, but actually populate it based on values from the old? How to deal with that? Because that's
more magic.
And perhaps that's not for now, but that's something I'm very interested in how to deal with.
Yeah.
Same principle.
Yeah, sure. I think that's the solution. You have to be backwards compatible with release. So every modification you do on the database part must be compatible with the release before that for the application.
What you see is in practice that it doesn't always work that way. But what you simply do is when you get a case in which you cannot guarantee the backwards compatibility, you just take the downtime because you really can't work around that. So that's it's the easy way out, but unfortunately there isn't really a better answer to that.
Take a hit, yeah.
Aren't there like load balance solutions that just wait until your sessions are all drained and then switch over?
Well, you could do that, but it depends if you share data between the two versions, you would get data inconsistencies. Yeah. It's the chicken and egg problem we talked about earlier. Yeah, database versioning, yeah, it helps a lot, but you still get the downtime with breaking changes.
Cool.
Well, use a schemaless database.
That's cool. Uber cool.
Scott Amber has books on how to deal with that. Scott Amber has a series of books on how to deal with the evolutionary database changes. And that's pretty much applicable to these types of situations. It doesn't capture every situation, but in 90% of the cases, you can simply go forward.
Any more questions? Feedback?
I have a question. No, I'm just wondering, did everybody here create such a continuous delivery pipeline themselves already? You know,
more or less.
sit. Yeah,
Simpler.
I'm busy.
yeah, I mean, say,
Working
you
on
can do it. You can do it yourself, and maybe it's not rocket science, but it's, you know, the first thing I think, nothing special. But at the end, you walk into a lot of pitfalls, and it takes eating a lot of time. So makes me feel more appreciative that you could actually take that as a service and spend your time on actually value add development instead of maintaining and setting up this whole thing.
I find it very interesting that for this smaller businesses, startups doing this, actually very well doable with using a leaner approach. Just go with Jenkins workflow pipeline. You can basically do anything, you have to be a bit more explicit. Then I can see that could very well be that for that particular use case that might be the way to go.
Yep.
Yeah, it depends a bit because at one point you just hit the scalability limit because it explodes the complexity when doing it in named Jenkins.
Yes, okay. So
That's when you have to make the switch at one point.
Or see if the boundaries can come up with. There are lots of research in that particular dimension.
Other questions, feedback?
Is everything open source?
No. We use a lot of open source tools.
Okay.
One of the tools like XL Release, XL Deploy, it's not open source. On the monitoring part, we use sysdig. It's also not all open source. But a lot of the tools are open source. Yeah, sure.
Do you contribute back?
Yeah.
To those?
Yeah, I gave the example for the Terraform providers that we and the Go as Azure Go SDK. That's
Sure.
well, especially Xavier Labs. Then for us to contribute back. Still a bit of a taking point in KPN itself because we also have a lot of Puppet development, product modules developed. But it's hard to get a legal okay to just give it back. All the tech people want it because we're lazy, we don't want to maintain it. It's somebody else who can do it, but
we don't want to leak KPN.
Actually, it needs to be very generic.
The things we give back to the community are fixes on stuff. It's not really KPN specific things.
Sure. But I guess you already, in your Puppet code, you already have provisions for, alright, let's separate this bit so that we can contribute back and let's keep this bit out of any open stuff.
Yes.
Because this is our core innovation.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Great.